Okay, I'm going to show you some additional features of Ancestral Trees DNA Painter. Let's start off by just looking at the display options. If we go up to the top right here, we can see this little cog icon. If we click on that, we can choose Ahnentafel numbers. The next option there has to do with haplogroups. Now, I haven't put any haplogroups into my tree yet, but in fact I have done a YDNA test. So I happen to know that my YDNA haplogroup is EM34. So I can add that in there. And then if I choose to show YDNA haplogroups here, I can see that that EM34 has propagated all along my male line. Now, I can also add mitochondrial haplogroups. So to give you another example, I've also done a mitochondrial DNA test, you may not be surprised to hear, and I happen to know that my mitochondrial haplogroup is J1C2B. And so if I save that, and I choose to show Y and mitochondrial haplogroups, we can see that my mitochondrial haplogroup has extended down my chart as well. So what I'm doing here, I guess, is adding additional documentation to my tree. I've researched all the people in this tree to the greatest extent that I possibly can, but what I have here is additional evidence as to what their DNA haplogroups are. So I'm kind of satisfied with myself that I'm adding extra information here that wouldn't be there if I hadn't delved into the world of DNA. Now, next, I know that my grandmother had a brother and he had a son who has also tested, and his YDNA is RM269, one of the most common haplogroups in Europe. So that means I know that John Victor Charles Jones, my grandmother's father, also had this haplogroup, so I can add that into him. So RM269, and if I save that, we can see that that indeed is propagated, and this Jones line, which as far as I know was in Shropshire, it may in fact go back to Wales, I'm not sure, but that line also has RM269 as the haplogroup. The next thing I wanted to show you was dimensions. So dimensions is a feature which was introduced in March of 2021, and it allows you to add dimensions to your tree. So if we go into Dimensions menu at the top and we click Add Edit Dimensions, let's choose one of the preset ones. So we have Age at Death. This is something that can be calculated from the GEDCOM file. It's going to extract the person's age at death using the birth date and death date. So if I click Build Dimension, it says to me that's been built, and I can view that in the tree. And so this is a graphical view of the death dates of my direct ancestors. It's not something one thinks about every day, but there it is. And if I go into the fan chart, I can actually get a sense of where the longest lives have been lived and when the longest lives have been lived. Thankfully, in recent generations, people have lived quite long lives. My great-grandmother on my German Jewish side did die in her 40s, alas. But that's a very interesting view. Now, another view I can have is the country of origin of these people. So if I go back to Add and Edit Dimensions, and I choose Country of Birth, and I click Build Dimension, and then I view the dimension in the tree, and here we have it. So DNA Painter here has taken the string of text which I had in the birth country field, and it's tried to pass out a country, and it looks like it's done quite well in this case. It's assigned colours randomly. All of the people who were born actually in Germany, it's given them Poland, and that's of course because Breslau in Germany is now in Poland, but I can fix that quite easily if I'd like to. And then going back here, these people, it did give us Germany. Then we've got the English bit, and we have the Irish bit going back to the confirmed Scottish bit. So if I view that in the tree view, we can see the countries named there. Now, for the people who weren't identified in the tree because they're living, of course it hasn't got that information because it's considered confidential, but otherwise I've got a very useful interface to my tree where I can see at a glance. If you like, it's the genealogy version of my ancestry composition estimate, which one finds with when you get your standard DNA test result. Then the final feature of dimensions I wanted to show you is called genealogy facts. and that's where all of this information has been put together into a special nutrition facts style card. So here we have my genealogy facts. We've got the names in my tree, and we've got the age at death, so we can see the most common range, and then we've got the countries of birth, and I can move this slider along to adjust these facts and these names for different generations. So here we have it at 4th great-grandparent level, and here we have it at 5th great-grandparent level. And I can actually save this out as an image, or I can share these facts. So if I click Share Facts, it's going to generate a link for me, and then I can potentially share this on Facebook or Twitter. So that's hopefully a fun way to bring your family history to life for others.